A person has been injured. They may be suffering from shock. What are the warning signs to look for? Pale grey skin. You arrive at the scene of a motorcycle crash. The rider is injured. When should their helmet be removed? Only when it's essential. At an incident, a small child isn't breathing. To restore normal breathing, how should you breathe into their mouth? Gently. At an incident, a casualty isn't breathing. What should you do while helping them to start breathing? Tilt their head back gently. At an incident, it's important to look after any casualties. What should you do with them when the area is safe? Keep them where they are. You break down on a level crossing. The lights haven't yet begun to flash. What's the first thing you should do? Leave the vehicle and get everyone clear. You are at the scene of an incident. Someone is suffering from shock. How should you treat them? Reassure them confidently. You are going through a long tunnel. What will warn you of congestion or an incident ahead? Variable message signs. A casualty isn't breathing normally. Chest compressions should be given. At what rate? 120 per minute. What should you do if you see a large box fall from a lorry onto the motorway? Go to the next emergency telephone and report the hazard. You have stopped at an incident to give help. What should you do? Keep injured people warm and comfortable. What should you do as you approach a long road tunnel? Make sure your radio is turned to the frequency shown. When should you use hazard warning lights? When you slow down quickly on a motorway because of a hazard ahead. You are going through a congested tunnel and have to stop. What should you do? Keep a safe distance from the vehicle in front. You see a car on the hard shoulder of a motorway with a help pennant displayed. What does this mean? The driver is likely to be a disabled person. Your vehicle has broken down on an automatic railway level crossing. What should you do first? Get everyone out of the vehicle and clear of the crossing. You have broken down on a motorway. When you use the emergency telephone, what will you be asked for? Details of your vehicle. You have stalled in the middle of a level crossing and can't restart the engine. The warning bells start to ring. What should you do? Get out of the car and clear of the crossing. After a collision, someone is unconscious in their vehicle. When should you call the emergency services? As soon as possible. You are on the motorway. Luggage falls from your vehicle. What should you do? Stop at the next emergency telephone and contact the police. A collision has just happened. An injured person is lying in a busy road. What's the first thing you should do to help? Warn other traffic. When are you allowed to use hazard warning lights? When stopped and temporarily obstructing traffic. What should you carry for use in the event of a collision? Fire extinguisher. You arrive at an incident. A pedestrian is bleeding heavily from a leg wound. The leg isn't broken and there's nothing in the wound. What should you do? Raise the leg to lessen bleeding. At an incident, a casualty is unconscious. You need to check whether they are breathing. How long should you allow for this check? At least 10 seconds. You are in a collision with another moving vehicle. Someone is injured and your vehicle is damaged. What information should you find out? The other driver's name, address, and telephone number. An injured motorcyclist is lying unconscious in the road. The traffic has stopped and there is no further danger. What should you do to help? Seek medical assistance. At an incident, someone is suffering from severe burns. What should you do to help them? Douse the burns with clean, cool, non-toxic liquid. You are driving on a motorway. When can you use hazard warning lights? When you slow down quickly because of a danger ahead. While you are driving, a warning light on your vehicle's instrument panel comes on. What should you do? Check out the problem quickly and safely. Your vehicle has a puncture on a motorway. What should you do? Pull up on the hard shoulder. Use the emergency phone to get assistance. Before driving through a tunnel, what should you do? Remove any sunglasses. You are involved in a collision. Afterwards, which document may the police ask you to produce? Driving license. At an incident, someone is unconscious. What would your priority be? Check their airway is clear. You have a collision while your car is moving. What's the first thing you must do? Stop at the scene of the incident. An injured person has been placed in the recovery position. They are unconscious but breathing normally. What else should be done? Check their airway remains clear. Your vehicle catches fire while driving through a tunnel. It is still drivable. What should you do? Drive it out of the tunnel if you can do so. You lose control of your car and damage a garden wall. No one is around. What must you do? Report the incident to the police within 24 hours. You arrive at the scene of a crash. Someone is bleeding badly from an arm wound. Nothing is embedded in it. What should you do? Apply pressure over the wound and raise the arm. You are the first to arrive at the scene of a crash. What should you do? Call the emergency services promptly. At an incident, a casualty is unconscious but breathing. When should you move them? When there is further danger. An adult casualty isn't breathing. To maintain circulation, compression should be given. What's the correct depth to press for each compression? 5 to 6 centimeters. You arrive at an incident. There is no danger from fire or further collisions. What's your first priority when attending to an unconscious motorcyclist? Check whether they are breathing. You arrive at the scene of a motorcycle crash. No other vehicle is involved. The rider is unconscious and lying in the middle of the road. What's the first thing you should do? Warn other traffic. At an incident, what should you do with a casualty who has stopped breathing? Remove anything that's blocking their airway. There has been a collision. A driver is suffering from shock. What should you do? Reassure them. A casualty has an injured arm. They can move it freely, but it's bleeding. Why should you get them to keep it in a raised position? It will help to reduce the blood flow. On a motorway, when should the hard shoulder be used? When an emergency arises. Your tire bursts while you are driving. What should you do? Pull up slowly at the side of the road. You are in a tunnel. Your vehicle is on fire and you can't drive it. What should you do? Switch on hazard warning lights. Your vehicle breaks down in a tunnel. What should you do? Switch on hazard warning lights, then go and call for help. There has been a collision. A motorcyclist is lying injured and unconscious. Unless it's essential, why should you not usually attempt to remove their helmet? This could result in more serious injury. Following a collision, someone has suffered a burn. The burn needs to be cooled. What is the shortest time that it should be cooled for? 10 minutes. You are driving through a tunnel and the traffic is flowing normally. What should you do? Use dipped headlights. What safeguard could you take against fire risk to your vehicle? Check out any strong smell of fuel. You are the first person to arrive at an incident where people are badly injured. You have switched your hazard warning lights and checked all engines are stopped. What else should you do? Make sure that an ambulance is called for. You have broken down on a two-way road. You have a warning triangle. At least how far from your vehicle should you place the warning triangle? 45 meters, 147 feet. A tanker is involved in a collision. Which sign shows that it's carrying dangerous goods? An orange color label showing code number of the goods.